Okay, there's a lot going on. Got a lot of options. You could head over here and attack this doohickey, this rock guy. You could try and climb up the rope and get over and help with the giant spider situation. You could check out this room with the giant gourd and the treasure. However, we've kind of determined that there might be a trap in there. I don't remember how we came up with that, but we're feeling there's a trap in there. You might want to just use a spell, but you'd have to have it prepared. Wait, what edition are you even playing? This isn't the game.
Hello, and welcome to Action Surge, a series where we take a deep dive look into your turn in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. Now, combat in D&D 5e can be a lot of fun, but it can also be a bit complicated if you're new. This series is meant to take a look at all the different things you can do on your turn and help you break them down, understand them, and have a little bit more fun along the way. In this video, we're going to be going through a quick guide to what your turn will look like before breaking down what this series is going to teach you about each of the actions in D&D 5e. So to start off with, what does your turn look like in combat? You're going to be able to do a small handful of things. First of all, you're going to get to move. Your character will have a speed on their character sheet. This is typically 30 feet, though it can range below or above depending on your race, class, and any other magic items or abilities your character may have. From there, you have an action. That's what this entire series is going to be about. After your action, you have a bonus action. Bonus actions are far more varied than actions, but you don't have access to all of them. Really, you're only going to have a few bonus actions throughout the entire game. Your character will have special bonus actions that other characters at the table won't have. Rather than asking if something is a bonus action, the ability will tell you. If you don't have an ability that says this is a bonus action, you don't have to worry about that on your turn. Finally, we have the interaction. Now, the interaction is a special thing that a lot of people forget about. The interaction is something that helps you do the thing you want to do. So if you're getting ready to attack an enemy, your interaction could be drawing your sword to do that. If you're trying to get away from an enemy, get through a door and close it, well, that interaction could be closing the door behind you. Interactions can range from getting things from your backpack to checking out what might be inside this chest. Your interaction is going to be something that facilitates your action. Now keep in mind that you have this because it's going to be a little bit of a bargaining card for us later when you might want to do something that's a bit outside of what you could possibly do with your action. This is going to help with that later. So, once again, you have your movement, how far you can go on your turn. You have your action, which we are going to be exploring all of them soon. You have your bonus action, which you may or may not be using on any given turn, and your interaction, the thing that helps you. I've mentioned actions multiple times already, but I have yet to tell you what any of them are. Well, let's go through them very quickly. The actions you have available to you are attack, when you are physically waylaying an enemy, whether with a sword, a bow, your fists if you're a martial artist, or possibly claws if you happen to be some more of an animalistic character. You can cast a spell if you have access to spells. You can dash. Dashing is, well, it's dashing, it's running. It's moving further and faster than you otherwise would have on your turn. Rather than doing something else on your turn, you are just going. From there, we move on to disengage. Disengage is something you do when you are surrounded by enemies and you want to get away from them safely. Speaking of safety, we have the dodge action. Sometimes it's not enough to try and run from your enemy. The dodge action helps you stay alive when you have a bunch of people attacking you. The help action, in case you are a bit more of a friendly player, allows you to give advantage to another player's action on their turn. You are essentially using your turn to help them. From there, we move on to the hide action. If you are trying to slink about unnoticed, if you're trying to prepare an ambush or something like that, the hide action is how you do that. From there, we have the ready action. The ready action in D&D is when you want to do something, but the situation isn't quite ready for it. So you are preparing yourself to do something when the time is right. We have the search action. Possibly, if that chest has a lot of stuff in it, you might be able to open it up for your interaction, but it might take you your entire action to go through everything in there, or possibly sift through some documents looking for the incriminating one. Finally, we have the use an object action. I've mentioned opening and closing doors, I've mentioned drawing weapons. All of these things are fairly fast. However, what about trying to pick a lock? What about trying to open up a door with a large bar in front of it? How about a giant mechanism that you have to physically pull down? Untying a rope, dropping a chandelier on someone. All of these are you interacting with the environment and taking a little bit more time to do so. That's when you are using an object. So, we have our turn, we have our movement, action, bonus action, and interaction. We've taken a look at what all of our actions are. Now I want to explain what we might be doing in the rest of this series. Every single action that I just very quickly described, we are going to be taking an in-depth look at. During that in-depth look, we are going to be doing 3 things. First of all, we're going to be moving over here to look at the mechanics. The mechanics section, we will be using our wonderful white wall to go through the different rules of each individual action. In going through the rules, we will better understand them and allow for us to have more possibilities in combat. There's many players that I have played with that if they cannot take the attack action or cast a spell action on their turn, they feel like it's a wasted turn. That is not true. There are so many options available to you if only you understand what you have. Additionally, understanding the core mechanics of the game, understanding the basic things that you are allowed to do in combat, allows for us to understand what is effective use of turns and what isn't. It allows for us to understand what things we are supposed to be desiring to do and what things are actually fluff, are just storytelling and we shouldn't be taxed for wanting to do. After we're done looking at the mechanics of any particular action, we're going to come back here and talk about when you might want to use this action. Now, to pretend like there's a ultimate guide of when to use every single action in D&D, well, that's a bit foolhardy. Part of D&D is the fact that it is an open game. You don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. The situations you're going to find yourself in are going to be unique. However, there are some better situations of when a certain action might be a bit more useful to you. Not all actions are equal in any given situation. I'm going to talk through some of those situations so you can better identify when you may want to use a particular action. After we talk about when to use these actions, we're going to focus on story. Here, we're going to be talking about the story that you want to tell on your turn. As the game evolves and combat starts to get a bit more intense, a lot of players focus on making the exact right decision in that moment in the combat. While there is merit to playing the game smartly, it can easily devolve into making a decision, throwing a couple dice on the table, hit, miss, hit, 14 points of damage, that's the end of my turn. I don't know about you, but that sounds a little bit sullen to me. I prefer a turn where you do things, you add to the story, you change the objectives, you change the goals, you figure out what is going on in this moment and expanding on it. We take initiative in turns, that way not only does everyone have a chance to do something in the combat, but they have a chance to do something in the story. When it's your turn, not only are you taking the moments for your move, your action, all those sorts of things, we're waiting to hear what you have to say. We want to know what you are going to add to the story. In this section of the video, I'm going to be going through whatever particular action we're talking about and ways to add your own flair into the story. Whether it's adding narrative beats from something previously going on in the game, or simply describing how your character does the thing their way. After we're done here, we will move over to the conclusion. And that's everything you need to know about the Action Surge series. we're going to be going through each of the actions of 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons combat one by one and help you understand how to use them, when to use them, and how to do so with more flair and style unique to your character. Much more than just playing the game based off of the mechanics. Telling the story along the way is something that happens throughout the entire game. We don't separate story and combat. They come together, and when they do, you have a much better game for it. So thank you for hanging around, and we're about to get this party started, so how about you roll initiative? Are we really using that line? Like, isn't that a bit cliche at this point? Like, do we have nothing better? And that's it, Josh. Talk past the camera as if someone's there, not that you're, I don't know, a nerd in the basement just rambling around.
Hey, hello, just real quick, Editing Josh wanted to jump in and do a shout out thank you to my Patreon patrons. It's their support that allows me to schedule in time to be making videos like this, so thank you guys so much. While the entire photography of the Action Surge series is done, I will be doing reshoots for this segment on a monthly basis while I am producing the videos. So if anyone else wants to jump in on the Patreon and support projects like these, you'll be added to the list, and thank you guys so much.